Today's video is all about Easter and celebrating the true meaning of Easter, at least in my faith anyway. But for now, I invite you to join me as I take a seat. Now I've already started on this cross and I've almost gotten it finished, but I did want to show you how I got this look. I'm going to take my, let me put the lid back on. I'm going to take my Waverly wax in Antique, this right here. And I'm going to take a smaller brush like this one right here, and I did get this at the Dollar Tree also. And I'm just going to go on the inside of the lid and put a little bit of the wax on the ends, just like that. And then I'm going to turn this around, and you can see right here where I've already done this, just on the sides. I'm just going to brush that up a little bit, just like that, just to give it a worn, aged look around the edges. I just think that's pretty. It sort of helps the, I don't know, it kind of just helps it pop a little bit. Even that out some. And I'm just going to take a little more. And like I said, I'm just tapping right on the inside of the lid. And I'm just going to brush over those edges up onto the top. Just like that. And what I did in the middle is, after I went around the edges to give it, it sort of gives it like a, maybe a burnt look, I guess. When I got the majority of the wax off on the edges, I just brushed it up in the middle some, because I don't want to stain the whole entire cross, but I do want to put some, give it some color right here without covering the whole entire thing. And let me finish. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up. Just going to get these edges right here. This Waverly wax is wonderful. I wish I had found this when I first started the craft I did for the little boxes. Oh, if you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out. It was something else, but we got through it, didn't we? Yeah. That's the thing about crafting. You may not always end up with the craft that you first thought you were going to, but it always works out in the end. And that's what I love about it. That's all a part of being creative. Take what you got and work with it. Okay, I think I'm gonna let that be for now. I'm gonna let this dry and I'm gonna finish up work on my sign. Okay, this is the sign I started out with. This is the Love Valentine's Day sign from the Dollar Tree. And what I did in the beginning was I just took this metal part of the heart off. Word to the wise, be careful when you're taking this off, because if you get too excited and just start trying to rip it off, it will rip the thin paper that it's under. How do I know that? Well, you'll see in just a moment. And then I just took 3 different paints that I had. Well, 2 different paints and then the 1 wax. But I just used a mixture of this white, and this is the Apple Barrel paint in khaki. And I used a mixture of these two and the wax I wanted to get like a whitewashed wood look. So what we ended up with, we started out with this, and this right here is what we have. So now I can still see a little bit of the red from the sign, but I'm okay with that because I mean, how do you create a perfect piece of wood? Well, you don't, because wood is not perfect. It has all kind of little color imperfections and other types of little imperfections in it. And you're not gonna have a perfect piece. So I'm gonna leave that the way it is. And you can see the darker parts, like here and here, is where I went in with the wax and just did a little dry brushing on top. And then you can see some of the khaki right there, and where I painted over with the white. And really, you just paint over in spots. Let me see if I can show you. Let me try. Well, let me go in with the wax a little bit. I'm just gonna take my brush. I'll work on this piece down here, and I'm just gonna get some of that wax on there. I don't want a lot, and I may even just touch some of it off. And you just lightly go over. You just lightly paint over where you think you might want some darker spots, where it will look a little more natural, because that's all about, and really it's not just wood, it's anything. When light hits any type of object, it creates shadows and highlights and spaces, and that's what gives it character, and that's what makes it look like it does. And that's just what we're trying to recreate here. And now that is a little dark, so I'm going to take this paintbrush and I'm just going to brush that out a little bit, just to kind of blend it in so it looks like it's supposed to be there. It's a part of the piece, not just something I put on there. Okay, and that's really all you do. And you do the same thing with the other two colors. Just start out with a little bit on your brush and just put it in places that you think it needs to be. Now, and remember when I was saying about the metal heart, don't get too crazy with that and start ripping it off. Right here in this little space is where I tore the paper. And it's covered up pretty good, and it doesn't really matter, because when I get ready to put this together, my cross is going to cover that space up, so it's not going to matter anyway. Another thing layering the paint on here does is, when I first start, and if you look very closely, you can still see like the little shape of the heart and a little bit of the letters. But that's another thing that layering the paint does. It helps cover that up where you don't really see it. So let me get started. I'm going to start putting all this together. And I have not plugged in my hot glue gun. So let me do that, and let me start that heating up, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, now I'm ready to assemble everything. So I'm just going to lay out where I think I want my cross to be. I don't think I want it to be at the very top. I want to bring it down just a little bit. Maybe have it about right there. So I'm going to take my hot glue, and I'm just going to layer it up all over. Okay. just gonna center this where I think I want it to be. And put it down just like that. I'm gonna hold it for just a minute to make sure that that glue dries. And maybe what I should have done was gotten a little bit of crafting glue also and put on the back of there along with the hot glue. And I may end up doing that because I think the hot glue will hold just fine, but I have had some instances where I didn't use anything but hot glue and pieces just start falling off. So I have learned that it's good to keep some wood glue or some crafting glue handy just in case you need it. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that like that. And now I'm going to take my greenery that I want to add on here. I've taken these pieces right here, and all I did was, these are just leaves from some flowers, some silk flowers that I had, and I didn't really want to use the flowers because they were just too big, but I did want to add a little bit of color. So what I did was, you can see these have this little thing on the end right here. I'm just going to take my scissors, I'm going to clip that off just like that, because I want them to lay flat. Well, I want them to, I'm going to put them inside each other like that. And with that little thing on the end, it wouldn't lay flat. And on the first one, I may have to take this off, but I don't want to tear up the leaves, and I'm not sure how that's put in there exactly. So let's just see. Let me just take it off. Well, there you go. And it's fine. I mean, there's a hole in the middle, but you're not going to see that once I get it put on here. And I'm just going to place these however I think I want them. Let's see. Let's start with just putting some hot glue on that one right there. Ooh, stringy today. And I need something to sort of tap that down a little bit. Let me put some up under here too, just a little bit. Oh my goodness, this stuff is stringy today. And I'm just going to take the end of my paintbrush here and just sort of tap that down to get it to stick. Okay, now I can start putting my other pieces on there. And I do want these to stand up a little bit, so, well, I don't know. I'm just trying to decide whether I want to take this little plastic end off of all of these. I think I don't. Let me just try it and see how it works. I'm going to put a little more glue right here and put some there. And I'll just put this, go in the opposite direction. And really the thing about it is, when I get this put together, if I don't like the way this looks, I can just take it off and do something completely different. But I quite like just green plants. I mean, I love flowers. Daisies are my favorite. Gerbera daisies, I love them. They're so colorful and they're so beautiful, and they're probably my favorite flower in the whole entire world. But I do like just green plants too. I think there's something just very natural and pretty about them, because you think, well, it's just a green plant, but no, there's all kinds of different green plants. And when you really look at the leaves, there could be 4 or 5 different colors of green running through that one leaf. And I don't know, I'm not a plant person. I have to have silk plants because they don't die. That's just one thing. I don't have a green thumb. I have a black thumb, probably, when it comes to plants. But I love them. I think they're so pretty. Now let me try this one over here. I'm just going to put a little glue there. Put a little bit here. And we're just going to pop that right on there. I'm going to turn it a little bit. Oh, and one thing you may not know, I'll give you another quick tip. Hot glue is hot, and it will burn you if you touch it to your skin. I imagine that's why it's called hot glue. Just a tip I thought y'all might want to know. Yeah, and I think I'm going to take that one and sort of fill in that hole, and yeah, I like that. So I'm going to take this last one, put a little dot of glue there, put a little dot of glue around this plastic end, and I'm just going to tuck this piece in right there. Oh, that's pretty. That turned out actually a lot better than I thought it would. Now, what I think I will do is, I've got some little pearls, and I think I will take one of the little pearls just to make the center, just to put something in the center right there. So it sort of just doesn't look, because right now, I mean, you can just see a green plastic thing with a hole. I don't want you to see that. That's not pretty. So we'll do that in a minute. Now, since I'm finished with that part, all that's left to do is I need to put the words on the bottom here. And what I'm going to do first, which I haven't done yet, I'm going to get my pencil. I think what I want to write on the bottom here is a verse from the hymn, The Old Rugged Cross. But I may not have enough room because it's rather long. I really want to put, I will cling to the old rugged cross. That's what I want to put. But I don't know if I have enough room. But I will try and see. So let me get my pencil. I'm going to pencil it out first and see what I can come up with. And I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, now I have just taken my pencil, and I don't know if you're really going to be able to see this, but I've drawn out my words the way I want them to look. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my black marker, and I'm going to try to get over here where I can see this. And I'm just going to draw over my words, my letters. And there's how that will look. So let me go ahead and finish this up, and I'll come back when I'm done. And here is this old rugged cross finished. Thank you so much for watching. And if this is your first time to my channel, I hope you enjoyed this video. And even if you don't practice my faith, my hope is that you still find the beauty in this old rugged cross.